On the water just after 7 a.m. this morning. Erin's going with her new Wally diver, and I'm just gonna go with good old red and white spoon. We're aiming for McNeese Lake today, which will mean 9 portages. We'll see if we get there. And it's we've had amazing weather so far. It's starting to cloud up, and our week-old forecast was predicting thunderstorms tomorrow morning. So that's probably not accurate, but the possibility for thunderstorms probably exists over the next 24 hours. We'll see if our luck continues.
We're on Summer Lake. We've got 2 portages down and 7 to go on the day. Just rolling up to our 3rd.
5 loons here. Noon Lake, yeah. Loons on noon.
Going for a run.
We got the net ready here.
There he is. Come on. All of you. There you go. Biggest one yet of the day, not of the trip, of course. You're mean with those gills. There we go.
That's not bad.
Another decent sized one.
It's pretty meaty actually.
Yeah.
Not a huge head on it, but pretty good body.
Yeah. Get back in the water, the Slimer. Gave a decent fight. We've literally been catching minnows of bass, like hardly the size of the lure. So something with a bit of fight was fun. At the beginning of the trip we were catching good sized bass, but didn't seem like anything special. We were kind of taking it for granted. And now we're catching all these little guys, and those ones don't seem so bad. All right.
Doing pasta with sausages again today. But these are noodles I've never tried before. They're egg noodles. They're kind of like mini gnocchi. That's what they taste and feel like. A little chewy. Good.
Yeah, I quite like them. It's a nice change.
I've been waiting for this to happen forever. I caught a smallmouth bass, and a pike, a good sized pike, came and slammed it. Get the net, get the net. Look at this.
Oh my goodness, this is poor bass.
It's poor bass. Oh. No. Oh, bass is in the boat.
Bass is in the boat. I got him.
Oh man, you have the camera going. You?
Yep.
Good.
He's under
That
the
was
seat.
wild. Oh, net.
Oh.
Back paddle. Back paddle. Our net just sank to the bottom of Shade Lake, so it's, if we get any good fish, it's gonna be a heck of a lot harder to land them now. Yeah, is it a Thunderbird? Another pictograph here on Shade Lake. Portage number 5. This is the 732 meter into, where does it go? Gray Lake. It's one of the tougher ones to follow, pretty overgrown, and has some blowdown on it too. And we miscounted, there are actually 10 ports today, so 4 more to go after this. We just finished the port, loaded up the canoe, got on the water. Realized things weren't looking right. GPS said we were on the lake that we started on from the port. The one that I said was overgrown and confusing. And we ended up somehow portaging from one lake back to the same lake. There are 2 takeouts and 2 trails leading, like a fork, into the next lake. We took both of the forks. We connected the forks and this the prong. So we just made ourselves do one of the hardest ports of the trip twice. Frustrating day. This is where we were supposed to go. We looked at it and then saw the other fork in the trail and just started taking that. Went on blind faith without even checking the GPS. This portage is like the Bermuda Triangle. We feel like we're doing a U, but it's somehow the correct portage. Just, I don't know, blowing our minds. We don't even understand it fully. How, yeah, doesn't matter. Back through the tangle for the 6th time.
We're on Gray Lake. It kind of feels like a storm might be blowing through, which is semi-accurate with our week-old forecast. The forecast called for a thunderstorm tomorrow morning, but we might get some tonight. We've got a couple more ports, and hopefully we'll be able to end the day before too long and set up camp before the storm does come in.
We're gassed. Not feeling good. I think we're gonna stop on this next lake. Yum Yum Lake.
So salty.
We're just dripping with sweat after that one. And we need to set up camp here because we're done physically for the day, mentally. So hopefully we find a good site soon. Thankfully found a site quickly, but the rain's coming on. It's starting to spit now and the wind is picking up. It feels like it could storm, so we're gonna set up right away.
So it was still an 11-hour day.
Yep.
Thank you.
Rain held off and we were able to make some dinner. Chili. Much appreciated. That's it for us today.
Hard earned.
Our feet are just killing. Our bodies are tired. It's been 9 to 11-hour days every day, and it has just taken its toll. I don't even know how many portages that we've done, but
So many.
anyway, we gotta start taking it easier and get back to pleasure. It's been a lot of pain today.
Today was
Some at our own hands, you know,
largely.
like the forgotten
Mine.
water bottle, the tour around Glacier Lake.
Yeah.
Today, doing that portage twice, it was a tough one too. Like,
That's what happens.
It's extra frustrating. It's like mentally discouraging on top of the physical.
And I find the more burnt out we are, the more that happens, though.
Yep.
It creates more work for us. Yeah, it's been rough. Not the whole trip, just today. It's been a great trip. Today's the hardest day. It started with the main camera acting up a little bit.
Yeah, we don't know if this main camera is going to work. It's working at the moment, but
Compromises just puts into question our ability to use it, which is too bad. And then so that was frustrating. And then the net that I dropped.
my wrist is acting up.
And then the port.
And the portage, yeah. Just an aggravating day.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's alright, it's over.
Mm-hmm. We're still together. Right?
Yeah. But you owe me a net.
Oh, I will buy you any net that you want.
Just bought it too.
I know. And those things are tough too because it's just dumb. Mm-hmm. And you just are like, oh.
Just mad at yourself for it.
Yeah, it's just so easy to. And we reviewed the footage to see and more to see the pike and the bass, but literally as soon as the bass hops in the boat, I just let go of the net.
Just discards it.
Yeah.
Don't need this anymore.
Like
bass is in the boat.
Like a piece of driftwood. It wasn't even like I kind of tried but didn't secure it properly. No, just let go. Oh, that's tough. Those are tough ones.
We've got our flies really tight to the hammocks tonight just in case it downpours. But we're all set. We're gonna get in here, call it a day. I was kicking my feet up in the hammock, but I got a real hunger. So I'm looking for a fish to eat for whoa. That one. Can't eat 4-inch bass anyway. We crossed the threshold today between a good hurt and a bad hurt, and we're just worn down right now. Tomorrow will be good. Be restful. Hopefully the weather cooperates for that. And I need to eat a fish so badly. It's day 7. I haven't had one yet. It just hasn't happened at the right time. Haven't caught a fish at the right time, or like when we wanted one, it was like tiny bass, and yeah. So it's time. No luck, but tomorrow I'm eating a fish. That's for sure, unless it's pouring all day. Wow. That was a big one. So that ended up being a long night with a big thunderstorm. Our tarps have this seam here, and it's saturated and was dripping through onto us. There's nothing we can do about it. So, like our stuff's all damp now from being dripped on. We tried to lay down clothing to capture the dripping, but like you can see, it's all damp spots everywhere. Good news is the rain came overnight, and now it looks like we can probably travel without rain for a little while anyway. It looks pretty nice out. Left the pot out to capture water, rainwater, and see how much we got. It's about a centimeter in there.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah.
Decent downfall. We got a couple special breakfasts to break up the monotony of oats. This is huevos rancheros. That's a lot better than oats.
Oh my.
Down sleeping bags are really not an ideal thing to get wet, so hopefully the sun stays reasonably strong today. So rather than pack up wet and do a couple ports into the next lake, we're just going to call this a full rest day, really rest our bodies, and then hopefully dry out our stuff and do laundry if the sun comes out. We really need to, really out of non-sweaty, gross clothes. And I'm hoping that I'll be eating fish today. That's something, anything but bass would be great. It's a bit of weight to it. Probably good enough size to eat. Oh, it's a pike. It's a pike. It's a nice size eating pike. Perfect. Oh. But now I gotta keep this pinned with barbless hooks and land it without a net. The only way I'm going to be able to do that is to play it out. Oh, and he's not well hooked. The net, not having the net is just a killer for landing fish, especially with barbless. We always use barbless hooks now, but it's required in Quetico, and there's also no live bait permitted, even if you catch it in the park. Probably a big part of the reason why the fishing is what it is. So I need to tire him out before I'm going to be able to land him by hand. There he goes. That's why you need a net. Got a smallie on, and it just did one of the best jumps of the trip. It was like 2 feet out of the air. It's big enough to eat. It's a pretty nice bass, actually. And a bass would be a lot easier to land without a net because I can lip it. But, oh, just jumped in the boat. Oh, no. When they want to jump, that's the easiest way for them to spit the hook, because you'll lose tension more likely when they're in the air. So you want to like pull down and away rather than up if they're going to jump, because pulling up will just help them jump, spit the hook. This might be the nicest smallie of the trip too. There. Yep, that's the nicest smallie of the trip. Leave its body weight in the water. I'm gonna let it go. It's a nice size spawner. I try not to keep the big fish. It's still early. We have all day, so I'll just have to get something else. And it's my last choice of species here, so I got time. I have a horrible feeling I'm gonna regret that. I'm already quite hungry. Those little like backpackers pantry and whatnot, little servings, splitting them with another person is a joke. We added it up. If we had only eaten those like freeze-dried meals from the store, realistically we would need 2 per meal, and they're about $13, let's say. That's $40 per person per day, $80 per day total, times 16 days is like $1,200. We probably spent $200 on all of our food for 16 days. The pike and the bass both came on this old white tube jig. Casting it deep and letting it fall last night and this morning has yielded nothing. Casting the shoreline has yielded both of those fish, so I don't know, it doesn't seem like much of a lake trout lake to me. On a small lake like this with only one real main basin, if you're not getting into the Lakers there, then in August, I don't have much hope for them. I'm now going to mime a reenactment of yesterday's net loss. hooked onto someone else's line that they had lost. Found this guy. Oh, wow. That's what happens to a hook eventually. That's been there a little while, I guess. There's nothing left of the metal. I just lost that tube jig on a snag. If you've never rigged one up before, if you get a tube jig, it is much easier. You just shove that right in there. There's a hole at the end of the tube. And then you push the eyelet through, and that's what you hook onto. Always use a little snap, just so I can change lures quickly. Got a big smallie on. This is probably the biggest of the trip again. I might have to keep this one because I need one. Oh shoot, too loose. Keep them down. Keep the rod bent at the same time. This fish has a lot more power and fight left in him. I could try and bring him in, lip him right now. I'll more likely lose him. No. Holy cow! Look at that smallie! That's huge. That is a huge smallmouth. Oh. I hate keeping big fish. I really do. It's not good for the fishery. Oh, what a hog. The longer you think about it, the more you want to release them. It's hard. It's better just to do it quick. I'm gonna keep him. We've got some powdered milk here that Erin had for her coffee. I'm going to soak them in it just for a little bit to help cut the fishiness. And I chunked it up so it's just easier to manage in the pan. Not to mention it wasn't my cleanest cut. I'd never cleaned bass. I think it's been about 3 years since the last time I did. Still a nice plate full of meat. What'd you boil up?
Made some cedar tea. I've been feeling a bit off today, just I think fatigued, so I thought cedar tea's got a lot of vitamins in it, particularly vitamin C. Thought it wouldn't hurt. It's pretty clear. It doesn't look like there's much going on in there, but it's surprisingly tasty. It's a bit spicy almost.
Yeah, zesty, yeah.
It's quite enjoyable.
Can I have some?
Yeah, you should probably let it cool though.
Finally a fish fry. Holy. Okay, bass. Good. It's definitely a lesser eating fish versus pike, walleye, trout, but much needed and appreciated. You want some?
I will try a piece.
Aaron's not a seafood eater, so this isn't too fishy. I think I cut the fishiness pretty well.
Let's see, you look really charred.
What about that one?
Yeah.
I made it into small bits and blackened it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
That's fine.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Probably good for me. Oh, let's see your tea's good. Wash that down nice. Like thin charred pieces.
That's very refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we finally have a rest day, we can do laundry too and swim and clean ourselves off a bit. I just got all my dirty clothes in this dry bag with water, just soaking it all, and then I'll drain this in the soil and then spot scrub the dirtiest parts like armpits with soap. Shake it all up again, let it sit and take on that lemony scent, and then again pour it in the soil so the soap can biodegrade.
Giving my hair a
Slimiest bottom.
slime treatment. I know.
Pretty nice temperature though.
Yeah, the temperature's good.
It's refreshing.
Didn't notice it because of all the slime.
It's not a bad one. Jeez. Good fighting pike. Wow. That's a powerhouse. Gotta be one of the hardest fighting pike for its size that I've ever had. Okay, let's give this a shot. I'm gonna try and grab him. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Not a bad pike at all. Nothing to sneeze at. Whatever that means. Okay, just keep her in the water here. There she goes. Got her stuff drying out. Stuff's all over the place. We're taking stock of what's left. Snack bag. Dehydrated bag. Chili, burrito mix, what else? Curry, etc. It's crazy how calm and quiet it is right now. This rest day has been good. We needed it, but I'm antsy. I'm ready to get going first thing in the morning. Got some stuff hanging on the hammock that could be a little drier. It's not quite bone dry. It's so muggy. Everything you do makes you sweat. Just trying not to move here basically. Can't wait to get up tomorrow morning. We got tons left to do on this trip. Morning number 9, right?
Yep.
9. And 9th morning we're waking up with beautiful conditions. Can't talk yet. Beautiful conditions. The moon was extremely bright last night as well. It was casting shadows. Just getting super lucky. The first 2 days of this trip were a lot different. The route was clearer and easier. We saw a number of parties, but since day 2 we haven't seen anyone, and the route's been more rugged for sure. It's interesting, trolling has been very effective for us, just little crankbaits usually. On this lake it's done virtually nothing, maybe a small bass or two, but casting that tube jig was the only thing. It got the almost 4-pound bass, I'm sure 4-pound bass, and a couple of 5 to 7-pound pike. It's weird. It's worked everywhere else. Maybe it's the thunderstorm. Sometimes they shut down after a thunderstorm, and during, yeah, before they feed, and the barometer's falling. But yeah, the thunderstorm tends to slow them down. Nice port.
Yeah, it is.
We're heading for the old growth pine of McNeese Lake. Already seeing some big ones though. On Shan Walsh Lake. Hooked into something with some weight. I'm betting it's a good sized pike again. It's not a smallie. There's some weight there. It's either a good pike or a good walleye. And I'm betting pike. Oh, this could be sizable.
John's hooked into something nice.
Oh, it's a nice lake trout.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Look at this. Finally, lake trout. I didn't even think this lake was listed as having lake trout.
I've been trying to catch lake trout for 3 days, probably. I caught one, lost it at the boat.
It's gonna be held on to land it though.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping this one. It's
Too
a good
early.
5-pounder.
Mm.
And it's early. This is too good of a spawner to keep. This is gonna be a little fight. This is gonna take a little while. Seems reasonably well hooked. Oh boy. There it goes. Oh boy. Oh yeah, it's a nice lake trout, very nice. Return them really quickly because warm water is very hard on them. There it goes, straight down. Right on. First laker landed.
Yeah.
Finally.
Nice.
Caught it on the same lure I got the big pike on. Just a little, what is it? It's a Berkeley flicker shad. Deep, I believe. Deep version. Which is not that deep. It runs like max 10 feet, probably more like 6 to 8. Our lake ahead with the old growth pine looks burnt. I thought I had read that somewhere, and I was hoping I had misread because the pamphlet for the park still says that there's old growth pine there. But sometimes the old growth pine are so big that they escape the fire, so fingers crossed.
We're coming into what is supposed to be an old growth forest, but it looks like there's been a fire in the last 5 to 10 years. But some of the white pine have survived. There's actually a decent amount of survivor trees, so we're hoping to find similar results once we get into McNeese, and maybe there'll be some of the big old growth pines left. It's a pretty spectacular sight though.
Lots of big ones left. It's even more dramatic seeing them amongst all the small stuff in the fire. So here's a good size one. Survived, it's fine. Its neighbor was not so lucky. And it's looming so ominously. Like, it even angles up there. And that is a tall tree.
It's got a big crack in it.
Yeah, it does. It's got a huge crack in it. That's gonna come down like thunder someday soon.
Yeah. One of the things that's amazing about old growth forests, and I've heard but I've never seen in person, is that fires can rip through them, and the oldest trees and the tallest are actually so large that they'll survive the fire because all their branches are above where the rest of the fire is burning. And that appears to be what happened here, and it's pretty phenomenal to see just these giants that survived the destruction that took the rest of the forest. It's pretty amazing.
We just got the food barrel to a point where it's light enough. Here, hon. Oops. To single carry. But I tweaked my back pulling the packs out of the canoe in the last port. It's gonna take a row backs and hopefully loosen it up because we have one of the tougher ports coming up out of McNeese Lake.
Ooh, I think you just rolled it. Got a small lake on.
Again on that orange crayfish pattern, which dives 6 feet deep. It's the second lake trout. Oh, look in the eye.
I don't know.
If so, he's a keeper. Want to set the eye can?
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, he's a keeper.
Oh, no, not an eye.
No?
Just above.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think his eye's okay.
Alright, just show him to the camera then. As long as his eye's okay.
Yeah. Little laker. You gonna be okay? Yeah.
I hate when they're hooked in the eye.
Yeah.
It's the worst feeling.
Yeah, that's unpleasant.
Gotta keep them, dispatch them at that point.
For sure.
Getting nipped by a laker here, I just got eyes on it. Lipless crankbait. This is the technique I love for lake trout in the summer. Just let it fall deep and rip it back to the surface. Pause, rip, pause. Aaron's doing pretty much the same with that light tube jig. If you're fishing really deep, be really careful because most species will suffer barotrauma. Even lake trout can, but they have the ability to burp from their air bladder before it expands once they get pulled up to the surface. So most fish can't do that, and their air bladder will expand and push their organs and eyes out from their own body. It's very gruesome for them. If you're not familiar with barotrauma, go check that out. It's a really important concept to know as an angler for the fish's sake. McNeese is a really nice lake, good lake trout potential, but we got to get going. It's looking pretty overcast, and we definitely don't want to do this tough portage in the rain and in wet, slippery conditions on the rocks. We could barely see the takeout with this uprooted tree, but that's the trail right beside it. My back is feeling a little better with the pills, but still pretty tweaked. So we have to double carry. It's okay. This trail's rough, flow down, and it's pretty thick with all the new growth. Some huge pines still along the way.
It's a big one. You can see our lake. Doesn't look that close.
No, it doesn't. Oh man. Oh, jeez. Hey! Aaron just wiped out coming down this hill. She's taking some time to let the shock wear off. Slammed into this little tree.
Came down hard on my ankle.